listening to Standards in 10 Minutes from The Standard Show, the podcast that brings you the stories behind the standards with Matthew Childs and Cindy Parakill.
Hello, my name is Matthew Childs.
And I'm Cindy Parakill.
And this Standard in 10 Minutes is PAS 1899, accessible charging for electric vehicles. Here are 10 things you need to know.
Number 1. What the standard is all about.
The first of its type in the world, and with the aim of providing an inclusive experience for people with accessibility needs, PAS 1899 is a standard giving designers, procurers and installers essential specifications on how to provide accessible public charge points for electric vehicles. Number 2. Why the standard has been developed.
Government policies are leading to an increase in the uptake of electric vehicles, and so there is a need for a significant network of commercially viable public electric vehicle charge points across the UK. Research from major market and industry players, charities, research institutions, public sector bodies, and distribution network operators shows that there are additional barriers faced by disabled people in the use of charge points. With an estimated 14 million disabled people in the UK and 2.7 million predicted disabled drivers and passengers in 10 years' time, and with this figure expected to grow further, it is essential that charge points meet the needs of these users. Number 3. What is a PAS?
PAS is a fast-track standardisation document, the result of an expert consulting service from BSI. It defines good practice for a product, service or process. It's a powerful way to establish the integrity of an innovation or approach. A PAS is best suited to areas where new concepts are becoming widely accepted and minimal change is expected. Sponsored by industry leaders, government, trade associations and professional bodies, a PAS is developed by a steering group or advisory group of stakeholders, selected from relevant fields and led by BSI. It's also an important route to international standards. Around 30% of PASs developed by BSI have gone on to become international standards, such as ISO standards. Number 4. Who the standard is for.
PAS 1899 provides requirements and recommendations to any party involved in both procuring and providing public charge points for electric vehicles. This covers a wide range of professionals and experts. These include installers and manufacturers of public charge points, local authority planners, highway authorities, charge point providers, charge point location landowners, charge point owners, urban design professionals, and many others who will be responsible for the locally built environment for any publicly available charge points in the UK. Number 5. What's in the standard?
PAS 1899 specifies the requirements for the provision of accessible public charging for electric vehicles in the UK. So, it covers the physical aspects of the environment surrounding fixed charge points, such as curb height and ground type, the location, placement and spacing of charge points within the streetscape relative to other infrastructure or objects, the design and specification of accessible charge points and their more immediate surrounding areas, such as the height of the charge point, cables and cable management systems, bollard spacing, colours used, accessibility of language within communications, weight and ease of use of the equipment. And finally, digital information, the signals and indicators provided on the charge point. Number 6. Who has the responsibility?
The ultimate onus of responsibility for conforming to the requirements of PAS 1899 is on the procurer of public charge points. The procurer can comprise a range of different bodies, including the charge point operator, the service provider, a local authority, or other landowners or leaseholders, such as a car park owner. However, the requirements within PAS 1899 have impacts on other bodies involved in the provision, installation, and operation of public charge points. For example, the requirements for the physical design of a charge point can have an impact on charge point designers and manufacturers. It is also important to note that PAS 1899 is voluntary on implementation. It represents the benchmark of what can be reasonably expected for the provision of accessible public charge points, thereby demonstrating that appropriate levels of accessibility have been taken into account. Number 7. The relationship with legal obligations.
Compliance with PAS 1899 cannot infer immunity from legal obligations. So in particular, the standard draws attention to the following regulations. The Equality Act 2010, Traffic Signs, Regulations and General Directions 2002, and the Building Regulations Acts and subsequent amendments as they relate to England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland. Number 8. Benefits of using the standard.
Because PAS 1899 supports the building of an inclusive electric vehicle charging infrastructure in the UK, it provides a number of benefits for charge point designers, procurers, and installers. First, using the standard means they can anticipate and overcome restrictions and barriers that could prevent any user from making full and independent use of the charge point. Second, the use of innovative practices can be accelerated across the industry. Third, it helps to improve the efficiency with which electric vehicle charge points are deployed. Fourth, it builds confidence for policymakers and the public in the accessibility and inclusivity of electric vehicles. Ultimately, the standard helps ensure that charging point providers and procurers can anticipate and remove any obstacles that could prevent a user from making full and independent use of the charge point. Number 9. How it can work alongside other standards.
PAS 1899 solely covers inclusivity and accessibility of public charge points, but it should be used in combination with other standards addressing the installation and connection of public charge points which are referenced throughout the PAS. These include BS 7671, Requirements for Electrical Installations, BS 8300, Design of an Accessible and Inclusive Built Environment, EN 17186, Graphical Expression for Consumer Information on Electric Vehicle Power Supply, IEC 61851, Electric Vehicle Conductive Charging Systems, and ISO 17409, Electrically Propelled Road Vehicles, to name but a few. Number 10. The people involved in developing the standard.
PAS 1899 is sponsored by the charity Motability and the UK Office for Zero Emission Vehicles. The standard was developed through consensus with relevant stakeholders, an extensive engagement process, and user testing to secure buy-in from key disability and electric vehicles charging stakeholders. These stakeholders included UK Power Networks, National Highways, BP Pulse, and CPIN, the Independent Consumer and Public Interest Network.
So, there you have it. A standard in 10 minutes. PAS 1899. Accessible charging for electric vehicles.
You have been listening to Standards in 10 Minutes from The Standard Show. Subscribe to us now, wherever you get your podcasts.
You just heard a Stripped Media production.